Have you ever stood in the dairy aisle, staring at rows and rows of cheese, wondering, which of these will help me stay strong, and which could be silently working against me? I'm here to tell you something that most doctors won't, after age 60. Cheese can either be your secret weapon, or your slow downfall. Now, that might sound dramatic, but after 4 decades working with seniors as a doctor and researcher in nutritional medicine, I've seen firsthand how the right cheeses can support longevity, reduce inflammation, ease digestion, and even sharpen the mind. I've also seen how the wrong ones can cause fatigue, bloating, blood pressure spikes, and brain fog. So today, I want to share with you what I call the hero cheeses, the ones I've come to trust and recommend to my own patients, friends, and even family. Let's start with one that's often overlooked in America, but has long been treasured in the Mediterranean: goat cheese. You see, goat cheese is very different from cow's milk cheese in ways that matter more and more as we age. First off, it contains shorter chain fatty acids that our aging digestive systems find much easier to break down. I've had patients in their 70s who told me they couldn't tolerate cheese anymore until they tried goat cheese. No bloating, no indigestion, no heaviness. Why? Because our bodies slow down the production of lactase, the enzyme that digests lactose. As we get older, goat cheese naturally contains less lactose and a different protein structure, making it more senior-friendly. But beyond digestion, goat cheese is also rich in probiotics that help nourish our gut microbiome, the collection of friendly bacteria that protect our immune system and influence everything from mood to metabolism. A healthy gut in your 60s and 70s is a game changer. And here's a little story for you. One of my longtime patients, Ruth, who's now 84, used to suffer from chronic constipation and brain fog. We tried everything, from fiber supplements to hydration protocols. Nothing stuck. Then I suggested she switch her morning toast topping from cream cheese to a soft goat cheese with live cultures. Within weeks, she told me her digestion had improved. And, this was her exact phrase, "I can finally think clearly again." That's the quiet power of goat cheese when it's allowed to work its magic. Next on our list of heroes is Swiss cheese. Now, I'll be honest, Swiss cheese doesn't have the flashiness of brie or the trendiness of burrata. But don't let that fool you. For older adults, Swiss cheese is a powerhouse. First, it's extremely low in sodium, which is critical because many seniors battle high blood pressure. Reducing sodium isn't just about cutting back on chips or canned soup. It's also about smart dairy choices. Swiss cheese lets you enjoy the rich, nutty flavor of cheese without stressing your heart. Another key point? Swiss cheese is naturally low in lactose. That's a win for digestion. But what really makes it shine are the beneficial bacteria used in its fermentation. These cultures boost immunity, support gut health, and some even suggest they help with reducing inflammation. And then there's the nutrient trio: calcium, protein, and vitamin B12. Seniors need all three desperately. Calcium for bones, protein for muscles, and B12 for nerve health and energy. I've had patients who felt tired all the time, thinking it was just getting older. But their B12 levels were low, and a daily slice of Swiss made a surprising difference. One gentleman, Mark, started adding Swiss cheese to his lunch every day. 3 months later, his blood tests showed improvement. And more importantly, he said he had the energy to walk his dog again, twice a day. Rain or shine. Now, let's talk about something soft and beautiful: fresh mozzarella, especially the buffalo kind. It's creamy, it's satisfying, and it's one of the few cheeses I feel genuinely good about recommending regularly. What makes it special for seniors is its anti-inflammatory profile. You see, buffalo mozzarella is lower in sodium than most commercial cheeses. And it's rich in high-quality protein. That's important because inflammation is at the root of nearly every chronic disease that affects older adults: arthritis, heart disease, even Alzheimer's. Anything that helps cool that internal fire is a win. Mozzarella is also packed with essential minerals like calcium, phosphorus, and selenium, nutrients that don't just support bone health, but also your immune system. And unlike heavily processed cheeses, fresh mozzarella doesn't contain additives or preservatives that put extra strain on your liver or kidneys. I like to suggest a simple snack to my patients: a few slices of buffalo mozzarella, a drizzle of olive oil, a sprinkle of oregano, and some cherry tomatoes. Not only does it taste like a bite of Italy, it's a senior super snack. And finally, let's talk about feta cheese. Some people are surprised I recommend it, given its salty flavor, but when used wisely, feta can be a friend. Here's why. Feta is traditionally made from sheep's milk or a blend of sheep and goat, both of which are easier on the aging digestive system than cow's milk. The protein structure in feta is more digestible, and the flavor is so strong that most people use less of it, naturally encouraging portion control. More importantly, good quality feta contains active probiotic cultures, especially when it's sold in brine. These probiotics, again, support your gut, and a healthy gut, as research now shows, is deeply connected to your brain health. There's even emerging evidence that gut bacteria diversity affects mood and memory in seniors. I remember one client, Susan, who battled mild depression and lethargy in her early 70s. We made several changes to her diet, but one she loved most was replacing processed cheese in her salad with crumbled feta. Not only did her digestion improve, but she told me she felt lighter emotionally. Food and mood, they're more connected than you might think. So there you have it, 4 cheeses that don't just taste good, but actively support your health after 60. Goat cheese for gentle digestion and brain clarity. Swiss for heart health, protein, and energy. Buffalo mozzarella to reduce inflammation and protect bones. Feta to support gut health and emotional well-being. As a doctor, I've come to believe that food isn't just fuel, it's a form of conversation between your body and the world around you. And cheese, when chosen wisely, can be one of the most comforting, healing parts of your daily plate. So the next time you're in the dairy aisle, don't just grab what you always have. Pause, consider what your body is asking for in this stage of life. And maybe, just maybe, reach for one of these hero cheeses. Your future self will thank you. Have you ever stood in the dairy aisle, staring at rows and rows of cheese, wondering, which of these will help me stay strong, and which could be silently working against me? I'm here to tell you something that most doctors won't, after age 60. Cheese can either be your secret weapon, or your slow downfall. Now that we've celebrated the heroes, it's time to turn our attention to the villains, the cheeses that, while tempting and tasty, could quietly sabotage your health in your golden years. And I don't use the word villain lightly, because when it comes to certain cheeses, the risks aren't just theoretical, they're backed by real science. And sadly, real-life stories. Let me start with the one I consider the most dangerous of all. The wolf in cheese's clothing, processed cheese spreads. You know the kind. It comes in a jar. Or worse, a can. It spreads easily, melts quickly, and has a shelf life longer than most of us are comfortable admitting. Here's the harsh truth. This stuff isn't real food. It's a cocktail of chemicals and additives, with sodium phosphate as one of the worst offenders. Sodium phosphate has been linked to kidney damage, calcium loss from bones, and even accelerated cognitive decline. I had a patient, Carl, in his mid-60s, who had a habit of adding cheese spread to his sandwiches every day. After a series of concerning lab results, elevated blood pressure, declining kidney function, and memory issues, we started peeling back his diet. When we cut the processed cheese spread and switched him to Swiss, his kidney numbers stabilized, and he said he felt less foggy. Next up is cream cheese. Now, I know, this one breaks a lot of hearts. It's soft, comforting, and makes a bagel feel like a warm hug. But here's what most seniors don't realize. Cream cheese is what I call a fat bomb. It's incredibly high in saturated fat and offers very little in return: low protein, low calcium, and often, in flavored versions, hidden sugars. Combine that with the fact that it's prone to bacterial contamination if left out too long, and it becomes a risky food, especially for seniors with weaker immune systems. I remember Helen, an 82-year-old widow who came down with a serious bout of food poisoning traced back to expired cream cheese. Her recovery took weeks. For older adults, food safety isn't just important, it can be life-changing. Then we have blue cheese, a polarizing choice. Some love its pungent flavor, others can't stand the smell. But for seniors, the real issue is biochemical. Blue cheese is rich in tyramine and histamine, two naturally occurring compounds that aging bodies have trouble breaking down. These substances can trigger migraines, blood pressure spikes, and even cardiac irregularities in sensitive individuals. Just last year, I consulted with a man named Larry who was dealing with recurring dizzy spells. We suspected a cardiac link but couldn't find anything definitive until we examined his diet. Turns out, he was eating blue cheese crumbles on his salad almost daily. When he stopped, the dizzy spells did too. It may not be the case for everyone, but for certain seniors, blue cheese can act like a chemical landmine. And then there's American cheese. I want to be very clear, American cheese is not real cheese. It's a processed product designed for convenience and shelf stability. It's high in sodium, full of emulsifiers that disrupt gut bacteria. And, like the processed spreads, it contains phosphates linked to arterial calcification. That's hardening of the arteries. Folks, when I talk to older patients about diet, I always ask them to check their cheese labels. If it says, cheese product, instead of just, cheese, that's your red flag. One gentleman I worked with, Fred, was a retired truck driver who had American cheese in every meal. His heart scan showed concerning calcifications in his coronary arteries. We overhauled his diet, including ditching the cheese slices, and within a year, his cardiologist reported no new progression. Now, before you panic and throw out everything in your fridge, let me say this: moderation and mindfulness are your allies. A little cream cheese once in a blue moon isn't going to ruin your health. But the problem arises when these villain cheeses become a daily habit. Because unlike when we were younger, our bodies after 60 don't process sodium, fat, and artificial additives as efficiently. The result? What might have once been a harmless indulgence becomes a cumulative risk. So how do you spot these cheese villains in the wild? Here's what I tell my patients. Read the ingredient list. If it looks like a chemistry experiment, skip it. Watch for high sodium content. Anything over 400 milligrams per serving is a warning sign. Look for real, traditional cheese, ideally aged, minimally processed, and made from sheep, goat, or high-quality cow's milk. And one final story before we wrap up this chapter. Gloria, 76, came to me feeling constantly bloated and tired. She loved her cheese, but only processed singles and spreads. We made a small swap: goat cheese and feta in moderation. Cream cheese and American slices gone. 3 months later, she was 10 pounds lighter, had more energy, and told me, "Doctor, I feel like I lost 10 years off my belly." That's the power of choosing the right cheese. In our next part, we'll take this one step further, exploring how to make the best cheese choices for specific conditions like osteoporosis, hypertension, and cognitive decline, because after all, food isn't just about taste. It's your most powerful medicine, or your most silent threat. Choose wisely. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. After we turn 60, our bodies stop working like they used to. I know it firsthand. I've seen it in myself, my patients, and in the stories of hundreds of people I've cared for over the decades. That small slice of cheese you used to enjoy with crackers or melted on toast, well, it might not be as harmless as it once was. And for some, it can be the quiet culprit behind the creeping fatigue, the unsteady legs, the bloated stomach, or even that rise in blood pressure that your doctor keeps warning you about. But why is cheese, something so comforting, so familiar, suddenly something we need to think twice about? It all comes down to how our bodies change with age. After 60, our metabolism slows down, and so does the efficiency of our liver and kidneys. That means we process fats and sodium much more slowly, and our tolerance for certain additives becomes far lower. Our digestive tract also changes. Many of us develop a natural decline in the production of lactase, the enzyme that breaks down lactose in dairy. Suddenly, the creamy cheddar you've enjoyed your whole life now causes bloating or stomach pain. And if you've been noticing that your joints ache a little more or that your memory feels foggy on certain days, you might be surprised to learn that your cheese choices could be playing a role. Let me share the story of George. George is 74, a retired carpenter from Pennsylvania. He's the kind of man who never missed a Sunday football game, always had a sandwich in hand, and believed cheddar was a food group of its own. A few years ago, George started experiencing swelling in his ankles and mild chest discomfort. His energy dipped, and he noticed he couldn't climb the stairs like he used to. His doctor ran some tests and told him his cholesterol was through the roof. And his kidney function wasn't looking great either. George was baffled. He didn't eat fast food, rarely touched alcohol, and took his morning walks seriously. But when we looked at his diet, the culprit was clear. Every day, he was eating heavily processed cheese slices, what we often call American cheese, with every meal. That seemingly innocent sandwich was loading his system with sodium phosphates, emulsifiers, and saturated fats that his aging organs couldn't clear as easily anymore. Once he switched to lower sodium, naturally fermented cheeses and cut back his portions, his numbers improved. He still enjoys cheese, just smarter now. Then there's Patricia. She's 69, a retired schoolteacher from Oregon, and the kind of woman who lights up every room she walks into. Patricia was known for her beautiful charcuterie boards, brie, camembert, blue cheese, the works, but lately, she was experiencing severe migraines and blood pressure spikes. It took months of testing before her neurologist made the connection. The tyramine in her beloved blue cheese was triggering her symptoms. Once she adjusted her diet, avoiding aged cheeses that her body couldn't metabolize properly anymore, her episodes nearly vanished. These are not rare cases. After 60, our internal systems become more sensitive to the very ingredients we used to tolerate easily. The kidneys, for example, work tirelessly to filter waste from the blood, but when overloaded with additives like sodium phosphate or excessive protein breakdown products, they begin to falter. The arteries stiffen, calcium starts depositing in places it shouldn't, and suddenly, a stroke or heart disease is no longer a distant concern. What's more, our gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that help regulate digestion, immunity, and even mood, changes as we age. Highly processed cheeses with emulsifiers and artificial preservatives disrupt this delicate balance. That might lead to constipation, lowered immunity, or even increased inflammation throughout the body. The wrong cheese can be like pouring the wrong oil into an old engine. It doesn't just run badly, it breaks down. But let's not paint cheese as the villain here. The point is not to fear cheese, but to respect it. Cheese, when chosen wisely, can still be a nourishing, delightful part of life after 60. But we must be pickier now. Smarter about what we bring into our bodies. Think of it this way. Your body is like a classic car now, beautiful, dignified, worthy of care. It doesn't run on cheap fuel anymore. It needs precision, attention, and premium quality. This is where mindful eating becomes essential. Avoiding highly processed options like American cheese or cheese spreads isn't about being restrictive. It's about giving your body the best possible support. Switch them out for Swiss, goat cheese, or a bit of fresh mozzarella. Watch your portion sizes. Consider how your body responds, not just how your taste buds react. Remember, the signs might be subtle: slower digestion, poor sleep, joint aches, mental fog, or that general sense of being off. The truth is, the cheese you ate at 30 isn't the cheese your body wants at 70. And that's okay. It's a chance to reconnect with your health and to choose foods that support you, mind, body, and spirit. You've earned the right to eat well and feel good doing it. So next time you're in the dairy aisle, hold that slice of processed cheese up to the light and ask yourself, is this helping me age gracefully? Or is it holding me back? In the end, it's not about giving up cheese. It's about choosing the cheese that gives back to you. Because after 60, every bite counts, and every choice is a step towards strength, clarity, and vitality in the years to come. So there you have it, my friends. After all these years of studying medicine and working with folks just like you, I can tell you one thing for certain. What we eat matters more than ever as we age. Especially when it comes to something as everyday as cheese. I've seen lives turn around with just a few small changes, like switching out that processed slice for a bit of goat or Swiss. It's not about giving up the things we love, but learning how to love them in a way that loves us back. Personally, I find it beautiful that even in our 60s, 70s, or 80s, we're still learning, still growing, still taking control of our health one bite at a time. And that gives me hope. Hope that we're not powerless against aging, but instead, we can age with intention, with wisdom, and yes, even with joy. Now I'd love to hear from you. What kind of cheese do you enjoy most? Have you noticed any changes in how your body responds to dairy over the years? Share your story down in the comments. I read every one. And I know your experiences could help someone else watching this video right now. And if this video helped you, inspired you, or just made you think a little differently about your next grocery trip, then do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Join our community here on Senior Superfoods TV, where we explore powerful foods, timeless wisdom, and ways to thrive at every stage of life. Until next time, take care of yourself, eat smart, and stay strong.